Hi everyone. Let's begin the new session on EBS and EFS. We are gonna cover the entire course about elastic block storage and elastic file system. And let's begin. Just give me 1 minute. So first thing first, what is the difference between these two? Any idea? Any wild guesses? So in simple, this would be more towards a theoretical class wherein we'll be doing some practical, but you just need to remember these things for the examination. So, are you aware of
The,
NFS?
the recording is on, right?
Yeah, recording is on. Are you aware about NFS?
NFS, that game.
No, I'm not talking about the gaming console wala. So yeah, uh, it's a file system offered by AWS in simple EFS. It's an excellent management network file system. I'll go in details in the upcoming slide. And EBS is the block storage offered by AWS, and that is a volume persistent, storage device that can be attached to a system itself, system database. Both have different kind of usages. We'll be covering them in details. Let's move to the next slide. So here we go. An EC2 machine loses its root volume, main drive, when it manually gets terminated. A lot of times, AWS also marks you an email and says that your EC2 would be terminated because of some kind of, unexpected termination or some kind of technical issues. They do that. So what will happen of your entire data which was onto that? If you would have some kind of, some critical data that would be lost forever. So what happens is EBS, that's a network drive which is attached to an instance which you are running in simple. So and that would allow it to go ahead and store most of the things whenever you are running. So if one EC2 instance falls up, you can switch on the same EBS to another EC2 instance. And in this case, your data won't be lost because it's a storage, but it's a network. It's just a pen drive kind of a thing, but it's on a storage medium in simple terms. Now, these are some vital important characteristics of EBS, wherein it's a network drive, which I have already explained, and it uses the network to communicate with the instance. So that's why I was asking that particular question if anyone has worked on network file storage systems or anything. So that would have made it easier. So in simple, uh, you can detach it from one instance and you can just go ahead and connect it to another instance. It's a it's a kind of a network drive. You can just imagine it as a network pen drive, wherein you can just go and plug and play. You can use it for various other things. You can even install some kind of operating system onto this. You can, virtual machines you can go and create onto this. Reason behind if you want to go and run Linux, or if you want to go and run uh, Windows, and if you still want to use your EC2 machines, so you can just go ahead and create an image out of it. You can do a lot of stuff. We'll be doing that in the lab itself. And it also, these are some important lines which you need to just go ahead and just remember. It is locked to the availability zones, wherein EBS volumes, if you go ahead and create it in East US or East South India, then you cannot replicate that You can transfer that by via making it a snapshot or something, but you cannot directly move it from one AZ to another. Apart from that, you are built for the. This is very important. This comes in the examination. You are built for the provision capacity. But provision capacity, it means that if you just go ahead and uh, engage it for say about 2 GB, but you have provisioned it for 10 GB, so you are gonna get. I'm so sorry. You are gonna get it built for 10 GBs, not 2 GBs, and you can increase or decrease the capacity at any given point of time. So this particular illustration can go ahead and easily explain you what is the EBS. So all the green ones are EBS, wherein there are two target groups or there are two normal AZs, and one of the EC2 is connected with 10 GB of EBS. The other one is connected with two different EBS, and the third one is like without any EBS. In another zone, you have connected. So moving forward, there are four different types of EBS.
Yes,
Out
or
of,
can you explain that example again? I mean, what are you trying to show? I couldn't get it here. So it's just an overview, like how it is connected, or something you were trying to show.
I'm just showing you that how it's connected. Like you can connect two with one instance. You can connect one with one instance. It's not necessary that you always connect the EBS with every instance, which is great. And if you need to migrate this 50 GB, you have to make it a snapshot and then migrate it to the other section.
So the snapshot thing, that I mean, it is kind of backup, like till the current instance. So that will be only migrated, you mean to say? Not exactly the drive will be migrated, but the snapshot data would be migrated, or how it is.
Yeah. So whatever gets stored onto the EBS, that would be migrated.
Okay, okay.
Okay. How you're gonna use it, how you're gonna configure it, completely depends on that. Now there are generally four types of EBS, out of which these two are very important for the examination. Not much of the questions come with STI and SCI, which are HDD, hardware drive, hardware based, and this is a like solid state drive. So the other important types of question which comes in the examination is like where you can just go ahead and host up the root volumes. So root volumes can be done on GP2 and IOI. So general purpose SSD volume that balance price and performance for wide variety of workload. High performance, this is done when you have mission critical, low latency and high outputs of workload like big data and so on. Then we use IOI. In general, we use GP2. And these are like done when you have very very huge amount of data load, because this is a costly affair. When you use a EBS, then as I've told you that you get charged for the amount of GBs which you have provisioned. So in these two cases, we'll be deep diving about these two cases, but most probably EBS volumes which are characterized by size, throughputs, and IOPS. IOPS is input and output per second. If you want, I can elaborate on this particular point, else we're good to go.
Vijay, GP2 SSD here, what does it mean?
Solid state drive.
Oh, EBS, yeah, so the purpose of EBS is behind like whenever any instance is lost, it will capture the whole replica of that instance.
Yeah. Not replica, whatever you are trying to go ahead and store, it's a volume storage. So whatever you go ahead and store, that would be just stored onto this particular volume, that would be replicated onto this particular volume. Or if you just want this particular volume to be running onto the root account, so you can do that as well. Now let's just go ahead and have a deep dive onto GP2. Recommended for most of the workload. As a solution architect, you are supposed to go and select this one, GP2. If you have some very, very high mission critical data, then you are supposed to go to IOI. Otherwise, most of the time you will be using GP2. You can, as I told you earlier, that you can also create a virtual desktop. A lot of times, you know, you need crashing machines and so on. What, you are aware of the term crashing machines? Crashing machines?
No.
Okay. So what happens is when we are working onto some client side, uh, you know, we need a system which is like completely free, which can, which on which we can just go ahead and play on anything, you know, like, you know, we can inflict our data, we can try to run a, run it without antivirus, run it with antivirus. So whatever you are trying, it's a kind of a demo machine which can be easily configurable, and you just need to go ahead and crash it with a particular application. So once you are you know, using that particular machine for testing any purpose, you try and test it with viruses as well. There are various sets of virus which you going to provide onto that. So these are known as crash me machines. So we used to go ahead and build crash me machines with these kind of instances, so virtual desktops and so on. These are meant for low latency apps. Uh, Apart from that, you know, you can use it for development and testing environments, which I have already explained and explained. Now, the limits which can come into examination, but these kind of questions generally don't come. You can just remember that you can scale it from 1 GB to 16 terabytes. Small GP2 volumes can burst IOPS to 3000. Maximum IOPS is 16,000. This is an important thing because I'll also show you that whenever you change the volume, it goes to a maximum limit and after that it stops. So these are like the local, because you know, even when we are talking, AWS is working. So could be that limits can be increased any given point of time. So these kind of examination questions never come, because by the time they publish it in the examination question, the limits change. So never need to worry about these. Apart from that, 3 IOPS per GP, you can just go ahead and read it and try to, you know, keep it, jot it down on a piece of paper for the memory. Moving on to the next slide, EBS volume types used as 101. So use cases 101. So you can have MongoDB, Cassandra, Microsoft SQL servers, SQL Oracle. So these are the kind of, you know, databases, large databases workload which we can implement because they're completely dependent on IOPS. You guys must have even seen EBS while we are using, but you guys are not remembering. I'll just uh, take you to the lab now, and I'll show you what is the what and how it is being used. Let me just log in. I'm sharing my screen of Opera. So once you are about to configure any EC2 machine, you generally find it on the next page. Okay, I've built all my instances. It's time to run a new instance. We'll select Amazon 2, Amazon Linux 2. We'll select the instance type as same. Now this is the place which I'm talking about. So this is the root volume on dev xvda. Snapshot would be this, and this is general purpose GPU. This is what we are discussing today. If we add another volume, this EBS, and here you go. Now you can see all the various kind of, you know, different kind of provisioned IOPS, SSD, IO1, old HDD, SC1, output optimized STD, SD1. So these things which we are talking about. So these are like network pen drives which you can just go and plug and play to your root, so that if any goddamn day your root has been distracted or it's been by mistake terminated, which is again not a good practice, because I have already taught you how to go ahead and configure accidental, protect against accidental termination. So if we select this, have you ever done a practice back home of clicking this up and then spinning up the server? Yes or no?
No, not me.
No.
So in this case, we'll just add up this particular EBS. And as you can see that the IOPS is from 100 to 3000. And the thoughtputs is, that's not available as of now. Delete on termination. Yes, you can. We never supposed to go and check mark this, because this can be terminated. But if you delete even the EBS, then your entire volume is lost. If you want an encryption, you can always go ahead and have it. But that's okay. Now, these are some tricky things which I won't be explaining, because these are very, very high-end technology which is being used in the backend, wherein the extension, if you are very a kind of a pro Linux user, then you will be asked these kind of questions, otherwise it never comes in the examination. So let's add in some tabs and launch it up. So now, if you go to that particular instance when it's up and running, give it some time. So now it's running. So this is the part where we have to check that the root device has got a XVDA, which was the basic, which we go ahead and attach. Now these are the two block devices which are connected to my EC2. One of them is the another EBS which we have configured right now. So if you click on this, you'll find the EBS ID. You'll find if whether it's been attached to the root, attachment time and date, and I cannot see the rest because there is. So delete or termination is false. That means it would not be deleted. And block storage, yes, it's a fact. also click on volumes for this particular dedicated page. And here you can see that two different disks are attached. Once you click on this again, you'll find the detailed, and this the snapshot. You can manually take it again and again. For that, we then have a life cycle management system. It automatically takes, snapshot, which we'll be covering later in this class. Okay, that was my cat. So yeah, moving forward, getting back to the slide, because this has nothing to do with lab or what you're gonna configure it or what you're gonna set it up. So we'll just go and go through the theoretical part in Max. You can just go ahead and try and practice, try and engage it. Uh, there's not much of the questions comes in the examination, but yes, we have to cover this section. So first, just release the EBS. So as you can see that the accidental termination has been clicked on. So we have to first do that. And also for the EC2 instance, this time we were able to go ahead and do the accidental termination. So that was check mark. So now if I go ahead and delete or terminate, you see that it's grayed out. And you have a warning message on the top that this instance have a termination protection. So first what we need to go ahead and do is we have to go to instance settings and change termination protection, and then you go ahead and disable it from here. Now if you try to go and terminate this device, it would allow you. Did you guys noted this particular section wherein I chose not to terminate by mistake? So that was check mark. So it would stop you. Now you can terminate as well as the volume. Always remember that even if you terminate and if you forget that you have volumes attached, then you will be billed for this. So always that's a good practice that you have to detach all the volumes.
So these volumes are automatically got generated once you have selected that below that root EBS.
One volume would be automatic, the other would be.
Vijay, your voice is very feeble, like it's.
Sorry guys, yes, 1 second. Yeah, what was your question, Aman?
What I said, like this volume detachment which you are doing right now. So what I asked, like after choosing that EBS below that root, after that this volume was created.
I didn't get your question.
So what I'm asking, like these volumes are generated once we select that EBS.
Yeah, no. All the volumes can be attached to a EC2. So its basic purpose is to go ahead and connect to a EC2 and provide a physical network drive which can store data or which can run your database on mission critical jobs. It can be either connected to your root or it cannot be connected to your root. Are you getting my point?
Uh, not exactly, but what I'm trying to ask, like these two volumes are generated after we launch that instance under EBS.
Yeah.
So the purpose of two volume over here, one for root and one for EBS.
EBS is a kind of a protection which is given. Like, if you have accidental termination, you're not focused on the slides. So over here, if you have accidental termination, then what will happen to your EC2 instances?
All
Will
the
be gone.
will be lost in that case.
So that would go ahead and get lost. So that's why we go ahead and try to have a network drive wherein everything would be stored and that wouldn't be lost.
Okay. So from where those two volumes came, like?
Because I added that particular volume manually.
Okay.
Vijay, one more thing. I mean, when you are trying to detach that volume, the EBS one, why? I mean, it is erroring out.
Sorry?
When you are trying to detach the EBS volume which you configured, so it is erroring out, right? It is giving error. So why it is so?
Because that has already been deleted. The EC2 instance has been deleted.
Okay, so the moment we delete the instance, so that will be auto, detached, right? Kind of thing.
But a good practice is to go ahead and first detach the EBS volume and then delete it and then descale or deprovision the EC2 instance.
Okay.
Now, this is the second kind of use cases for SC1. You can just go ahead and read through. So these drop downs within the drop down, I've shown you all these four outlooks while provisioning EBS. So we have the details over here. Good to know. It never comes in the examination, but I thought of going and letting you know, guys. EPS snapshot. This is an important section. Till now, I haven't taught you how to go ahead and take a snapshot, but we'll be taking a snapshot of everything, your EC2 instance and your EBS as well. So we have a separate class for that. So just wait for that particular class. In this, you will know the basics, that in a snapshot only the incremental part is being backed up. So, you back up the changes on the blocks. Just a second. EBS backups use IO. So this is like input and output. Should not run them on the application handles a lot of traffic. You can just go through this snapshot of will be stored in S3. Now every snapshot gets stored on S3, but you don't have a direct reference. It's been done internally. It will never show you that these are the things which will be like or a direct connection which will be shown to you. But every snapshot is being stored on S3, and that's being done internally by AWS. Moving on to the next slide. Uh, Lifecycle manager, I'll just go and illustrate in one of the sets altogether.
Vijay, one just small question, previous question, which I'm not clear yet. So those volume we need to create it manually, or those created by once we are choosing EBS automatically?
You have to create it manually. So as I've already explained that, these are locked to the AZs. You can move it across AZs. We are creating a snapshot and you can copy the volume to different region. Now the practice has already been done. We can encrypt on the last section. We have already seen that there was an encryption check mark. You can encrypt it with KMS, AES, whatever mechanism you want to use. Snapshot encryption is like encrypting the volume. So after creating a snapshot, you can, of the encrypted volume. That doesn't make any sense, but let's delete it. You can just go through this particular slide. Just a second. I'll now move on to EFS because there is nothing much left onto this. You guys are aware of RAID?
No.
Okay. Abhishek, you are aware of RAID, right?
No.
Okay, then what I can suggest is you guys can study RAID and then I'll explain off the class because we are just lacking on time. We have 15 minutes left. So I'll explain off the class about RAID, how it works and what can, because basics of RAID I cannot go ahead and teach it over here, but I can always go ahead and explain how RAID has been implemented, RAID zeros, RAID ones, and so on. So moving on to EFS, Elastic File System, manage NFS, Network File System. So if you have ever worked on NFS, it's nothing but you have 3 EC2 instances. All of them are connected through security group, and EFS that goes and store every goddamn data. High availability, scalable, and it's bit expensive as compared to the one second. Pay per use kind of a model wherein you go ahead and pay just like a EC2 instance. If you run that particular EC2 instance and you run it for 3 days, you are charged just for 3 days. In a similar model, you work on the EFS. Okay, folks, what I'm doing is I'll just go ahead and stop the recording over here, and I'll try to go ahead and explain you in details, because I think if you have any doubt, we'll be clearing it in this particular section itself. So this is the entire part for EFS. There are mainly just 4 slides, and for that you also need to know about the virtual network drives. And virtual network drives we haven't covered so far. So I'll just cover virtual network drives in the next class before RDS and everything. FS scale, performance, storage. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I'll just go ahead and stop the recording.